All right, everyone, and welcome to our Power Hour today. My name is Fasana Patel, and I am so pleased to be introducing you to one of the most amazing, incredible, powerful women that I am blessed to know. Ms. Annie Koshy and I have become such great friends in these last few months, and I look up to this woman as a role model, as someone who inspires me, as a woman who has truly figured out the secrets to life, as to how she can express herself, mind, body, and soul, to truly, truly, truly express the divinity, the wisdom, and the compassion that exists within her. She is an elite speaker. She is an MC. She is a serial entrepreneur. And most of all, within this family, we call her the ninja, because she really and truly is a badass. So Annie, without further ado, it is such an honor to be sharing this stage with you. Please take over, take control, teach us all how to harness our inner ninja and become the badasses that we were designed to be.
Thank you so much, Fasana. Thank you and welcome to all of you. And as I start my video and I say hello to all of you and welcome you to this presentation, I'd ask that all of you put your microphones on mute and listen as I talk you through how I've journeyed into becoming myself and what you know and what you've anointed me as, the ninja. And it is a journey that has taken a lot of time, and I'm very, very pleased to be able to share this. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for giving me an hour of your time and for me to be able to share the stage with you. So having said that, I'm going to actually share my screen with you, and I'm going to get into the presentation. Are you able to see it? Not yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Can? Okay, let's try that again. we go.
Perfect.
So welcome to all of you listening from all over the world, because I know I've got friends of mine from India and Europe and the US and all over Canada here. And I think a lot of our friends are scattered in many other countries that I haven't even mentioned. So thank you so much for joining me and for giving me your time. So as you can see from here, I've written how to be your badass self. What does harnessing your inner ninja really mean? Who or what is ninja? And that's really the first question that you can ask is, what does it mean to be ninja? And so we're going to go through this presentation and I'm going to be able to share with you my insights. So bear with me. There we go. So in traditional Japan folklore, or in reality, really, the ninja was a warrior. He was known, or she was known, to be a mercenary, an assassin, used the stealth of night, was very covert in their operations, was able to infiltrate and understand, and had vast amount of knowledge. Their abilities really went beyond just physical training. And it was just beyond what you would consider just talent. They would spend hours and hours honing certain skills. Their senses were very, very important. And so honing their sense of hearing, being able to react very quickly, being able to not be invisible in how we think of invisibility, but rather be able to use invisibility through darkness, through shadow, and to be able to blend in with their surroundings and not make noise. And so I'm going to go through this presentation and really talk to you about how you can really be the modern day ninja. I'm not talking about training you to becoming assassins or to become all of a sudden the next Harry Potter feature. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am telling you is that there are skills within all of us that if we practice and if we hone, very soon you're going to be able to start to apply qualities that make you ninja-like. And that means that you're able to move with fluidity, you're able to move with control, and you're able to be conscious of what it is that you're doing and your impact as you're making it. This is very important because, as I have shared in my book, and I start from the beginning, which is about the you. And so this is really getting a small peek into how I'm shaping the you and how that you really affects how the rest of the things that you do are working. So when we look at the modern day ninja, the three areas that I'm really going to be focusing on are going to be confidence, on control, and on self-discipline. So why do I think that these are important? Well, for me, one of the first things that I had to make sure that I was able to do was to be able to speak in a confident manner, to be able to carry myself confidently. What does that entail? We're going to delve into it, in bits and pieces here. The second part was control. How do you control your breathing? How do you control your emotions? And how does all of that really affect how you are able to control your reactions to the world and how they react to you? And so those two aspects combined form a very, very important state of mind that you need to have in order to have that balance. And so I'm going to talk about what balance is about. The last aspect in this presentation that I'm going to discuss with you will be about self-discipline and why self-discipline is crucial for you to be successful. And so when you combine all of these 3 points, you're going to then start to form into the modern day ninja. And just like feudal Japan, a ninja was not someone who was a commoner. It was someone who was special, someone who worked at honing their craft. So just because you're able to do one thing doesn't make you ninja-like. You need to work at it, you need to practice it, and you need to make sure that you're being consistent with it in order to start being recognized as having certain qualities that set you apart from others. And so as we strive in a sea of mediocrity to really be different, how do you start setting yourself apart from others is by acquiring some of these skills. So when we look at what ninja confidence is about, well, you develop your confidence through certain things. It's discipline, it's how you're assertive, and it's about your persistence or your perseverance. I call it grit. And what is grit, and what differs you from people? We all go through difficult situations. I don't think that any of us have ever gone to the point where we are in our lives right now without having experienced a challenge. But why is it that some people will go through a similar or same challenge like you have, and they haven't been able to make it through it? Why is it that some challenges seem so insurmountable to some people, and at the other times it seems to be so easy and seems so effortless for others to overcome? Well, it has to do with a lot of characteristics that you have within yourself. And so if you're looking at this slide, it's about what you say to yourself. It's a self-talk. And the first step to developing confidence is to really love yourself. And I think that that is one of the first steps that I had to make in my journey. And this was very important for someone. As I go through my story, I will share it, that for someone who had for years thought that she had confidence, I slowly started to lose it. And I lost the ability, I lost my vision of my voice. I lost who I was as a person. I lost the fact that I was strong. And even though I knew I was strong, I wasn't really thinking about it. I wasn't accepting that strength in me. And so there came a day when I had to really take a good look at my life, and I decided to change some things. And that was to really start to love myself, to really start to have the affirmations that I am enough. You're always enough, right? There's never a point where you're not enough. Even when you're at your weakest point, you are enough. And when you start accepting yourself with all of your flaws and all of your plus points, you start to have an unconditional acceptance of yourself. When you start accepting yourself unconditionally, then others can start to see you and accept you as well. And so the first step always starts in confidence with yourself. Little things that you can do really is to write statements of affirmation when you wake up in the morning. I always say, when I structure my day now, I look at starting with a positive thought and I end with a positive thought. Sometimes it's a positive song and ends with a positive song, or me singing or howling, if you want to call it, whichever way you want to think about it when you hear my voice. And I have to start that way. But it took a long time to get to that spot. I can't say that it was an overnight journey. There were lots of mountains to climb. There were lots of challenges that I had to get through to get to that state where I knew what I needed to balance myself. And I started with those affirmations. So the next most important part is effectively problem solving. And why is this important? As a ninja, you're going to come across a lot of challenges in your life. You're going to come across roadblocks. You're going to come across things that are going to stop your intended goal or intended path. So it could be that you had planned out your schedule and all of a sudden someone else has an expectation of you. Maybe you had set out where you wanted to be in terms of your business function right now, and COVID-19 has stepped in and it's derailed it. And so I'm not just talking about one-on-one relationships solving problems, but I'm talking about this being the instances where you find yourself in, like the other day, the poem, the hole in the sidewalk. You're walking along and you're really happy about it, and all of a sudden you get to this sidewalk and there's a hole and you're not paying attention, you just drop into that hole. Well, we all have these holes in our sidewalk. And so how do you solve those problems is going to be another way that you're going to be able to develop those aspects of being ninja. And it's about a very strong component of becoming confident. And problem solving involves a lot more skills, or I would say tips on how to do it. And this presentation really is to give you a snippet really of some of the things that you could do, and you can reach out to me in terms of the way I teach and the way I think. Effectively problem solving helps to balance you in a lot of different ways. Now I'm going to talk about effective communication later on in this presentation, but problem solving and being a good communicator are two very, very important parts. And it all helps to, again, shape your entire and your entire and other people's perspective of you and of being ninja. Confidence. Being your own life navigator. This is such an important point because when you are your own life navigator, you're talking about being your own internal GPS. We've become so used to relying on so many different extraneous things to be able to navigate our life, navigate our path. When you start realizing that the only person that really needs to navigate it is you, and you have the skills and the strength and the knowledge within you to be able to shape your own life, then you start steering your own ship. And when you start steering your own ship and start to take responsibility for the actions that result from you steering it, then you have a checklist by which you can go by. And the accountability is yourself. Don't depend on another person as just your accountability partner. The first person that has to be accountable to yourself is yourself. So having that confidence is about having integrity within yourself to be first and foremost your own accountability partner. Then it makes it easier for someone on the outside who's helping you to retain and attain those levels of accountability to work with you. But if you're not if you don't have integrity to yourself, you're not sure about what you want to do, you're not sure about your own dreams, and you haven't created your own vision board or your dream board, or you haven't plotted out what you want to do, it doesn't matter how great that other partner is with you, they're not going to be able to keep you accountable. So being your own life navigator is going to be super, super crucial to developing your self-confidence. So as I move on, as I motor along, I love this picture because this is something that, well, I would say that maybe I was struggling with for a long time in my life. I did for a long time forget everything and run. I forgot who I was, what I wanted to do, what my talents were. I forgot because I was listening to everyone else's voice in my life. To give you a little bit of background of who I am. Well, my family migrated to the US in the late 60s. My dad did his doctorate in mathematics from Boston, and my mom was there and she was also studying. And so being on student visas and being first generation in our entire family who had migrated to North America, my parents left me with my grandparents, and my mother's parents were the ones that raised me. And so there went my parents, they went off. And the first time I actually met my parents was when I was about 4.5, 5 years old. And at that point, my younger brother was born. He was born in the US and resides there now too. Yeah, I had a ready-made family that I stepped into. And we then decided to migrate to Canada. So in the mid-70s, we arrived here in Canada. My upbringing was quite interesting. I come from a very Orthodox Christian background from a state in India called Kerala. And in Kerala, I come from a Christian background known as Marthamite. And they're very Orthodox. So having grown up in this very, very Orthodox sort of background, I had two options as a child. From Monday to Friday, I was Canadian. I went to school, I interacted with my classmates, and I was the typical Canadian child. But on the weekends and on the evenings, our family only interacted with people from our church and our community. And so on the weekend, I was the model child, and I towed the lines of expectations. And this progressed for nearly my entire life. And at one point, when I decided to get married, I did, and I took a decision at that point, and I moved back to India. So there I was, not having any idea of what it meant to move to India or live in India. I took that chance, and I believed, and I moved to India. The funniest part is when I moved, I thought it would be like living, in India when I was traveling with my parents. We would travel in oh, we would travel by, air-conditioned car, or we would have hotel accommodations, or we would be catered to by our family there in India and treated so well. Well, it's very different when you're visiting on vacation with your parents versus when you're living there now. And all of a sudden, I was dropped in the middle of a place called Sholapur. It was really just like Timbuktu for me. And why do I say that? It's because from someone who had grown up here in Toronto with the bustling metropolitan city that Toronto is, to be dropped into a place where I had, first off, no friends, no family, or anyone that I knew, it was quite a challenge. And it was also a challenge because I didn't speak the language. And so you can imagine the only thing I spoke was English. And the only thing that I understood when they spoke was my name. And I would be intrigued. I would want to know, what are they saying? And so that was my first drop into living in India. Well, I would say 15 years later, that's right, I lived in India for 15 years. And from 1994 till 2009, I was in India. And I first started off in this place called Sholapur. And then I moved into a place called Bangalore, and then back to Pune. And I was eventually, for that time in India, a teacher. I was teaching in the IB school system, and I became an IB trained PYP and MYP teacher, taught English. And so the ninja confidence happened when really the previous slide, if you look at, was saying you have a choice. You can forget everything and run, or as my film cover says here, you can face everything and rise. And that's right, you heard me right. This is the trailer cover for the film that's been done on my life. And it's not been done because it was just one thing. There are so many ups and downs, so many stories, so many lessons that I've learned over the course of my life in becoming confident, of being able to speak my voice, of being able to share what I felt was important. And that aspect has been one of the fundamental reasons why this film has happened. And it's one of the things that has been the most fundamental base in how I've developed my confidence, is being able to face everything with optimism, to being able to face everything and knowing right away that there is always going to be a better day tomorrow. So one of the things that I've always found is that even though I may have had a challenging day, even though I might find myself frustrated or disappointed or weeping the night before, I wake up every morning with a smile on my face and with a grateful heart, knowing that I have another day that I can do something. Even in my darkest moments, this one saving grace has been one of the biggest determinants of whether I had the grit to sustain and to continue. And so if you move on, let's take a look at what ninja confidence also entails. Being good at being able to read body language and expressions. This is very, very important. When I'm paying attention to a conversation and I'm having that with someone, I know from the first word, usually from the hello in the first sentence, whether that person is okay or not. If I talk to them frequently, you'll know that, because if you're paying attention not just to the words that are being said, but also to the way it's being said. Tone is so important when you're conveying information. And you can say, even in a text message, you can, if you're really, really sensitive to that person, you'll be able to pick up from the words in that text message if that person is okay or not. The word okay is beyond just saying O and K or OKAY. It implies there are a lot of other feelings behind it. So if your normal way of communicating with that person differs in your next communication, you should be on your red alert, because something may be amiss. Maybe it is a silent plea that they need your attention. Maybe it means that there's something that's happened in your interaction that has caused a rift. And so you need to pay attention to what is being said equally as how it's being said. And so the how is the tone, both in the inflection when you're speaking to someone, but also in the facial expressions and in the body language that's being said. You all know that if you were to sit in front of someone and you sit with your arms crossed and your face crown in a scowl and not at all looking happy, that other person in front of you is definitely not going to feel interested in speaking to you. And so one of the most important parts of ninja confidence is having a pleasing personality, having that face, having the voice, and having the demeanor of someone wanting to actually approach you and speak to you, and you being able to then get out from them what it is that they need help with, or if it's just a listening ear. And so this is a very important part of Ninja Confidence. Being an effective communicator, I think that this is one of the skills that I'm very, very good at. And I've developed this skill because for me, and in my own understanding, I have a very high expectation that communication be very, very clear for it to be effective, and that communication follows a chain of communication. Why is this important? As we grow and as you individually grow your businesses, it's very important that you set a structure in place that enables everyone to feel empowered, and at the same time also know that there are systems in place that are going to help them be able to be effective communicators. And so being the one that is actually leading a team, perhaps you're starting on your team and you're deciding on how you want to coach people within your team, whatever it is. Maybe you have your own private online business. Maybe you have a company that you are a leader of. Maybe you're heading a new organization, and maybe you are growing a team on a platform that some of you are part of. Whatever it is, you need to be able to communicate effectively. That's a combination of being able to clearly state what expectations are, clearly be able to share that in multiple ways, which is why many of you may have seen that I've taken something that was in one language, which was in English, and offered a translation in multiple languages. Why was that important? It's important because as you reach out to people, it's very, very important that they're able to understand in their primary language. You're able to communicate. Now, I don't speak Portuguese. I don't speak Spanish, but I'm an effective communicator because I found people who do speak those languages. I don't speak Punjabi and I don't speak Hindi. And so there are other people who do that. My communication skills or my ability to leverage that is what I've used as my ninja confidence to be able to make sure that I'm able to serve the larger team on a better platform. And so this is something that you can think about. Look for the opportunities where you can step up and be a better communicator. That means that if you're sharing something and only part of your team knows it, helping others to be able to help others is going to be very important. So leading them to where they can find knowledge. I'm of the thinking school that when you empower others, you are empowered yourself. And I think that that's very important to understand. It really makes it clear then as to where I come from in terms of how I lead my teams. I'm always one to show you the ropes on how to do it. And I think that the more people that I'm able to show the ropes to, and I can sit back and then just effectively maybe steer the ship slightly or guide in some sort of way, is so much more effective. And I want to be that type of leader, and I want to be training people who are going to be that type of leader, so that we're always passing that baton of leadership onto a team. And when you do that, you start to realize that you've got this entire army of people around you who are strong leaders. And I can't think of a better way to be living a business or living a life when you're empowering people around you to be better at themselves. And so this is very important. Now, I'm sure all of you have felt at times where you have been overcome with emotion. And this slide I really like because it shares with you just in terms of how I developed this slide from the be in control to of your emotions. And you'll see, and it's very subtle, but I don't know if you've realized that I've been doing some branding things throughout this entire presentation, and you'll get an idea of what I've been doing. I will highlight those points later on and things that you can think about, but it's been very subtle, and I'll share how ninja I was about that later on. But in this as well, if you take a look at the choice of colors, the be in control is going from a state of, I'm sort of, maybe I'm a little annoyed, to getting a little bit more annoyed, to right on full out rage, to getting back into that cool emotion side where I'm back at ease and you're back into that And so I've used color graphing here to give you a visual idea. But if you look at this slide itself, you'll see this person has gone through various emotions, and we've all experienced one form or another of this person's expressions here. Well, one of the things about being ninja is really to have balance. I'm not saying that I don't get angry. I'm not saying that I don't get upset, or I'm not saying that I don't cry or feel disappointed or I feel scared. I feel all of those emotions. But I do know one thing, that when I step out or when I have a meeting or when I'm holding a conversation with someone, I'm going to try and make sure that I first balance myself and that I'm coming from a place of balance and not from emotion. So you need to distance yourself from the emotion in order to really be able to express yourself in an effective way. And that's going to be the difference between someone who is someone who's potentially going to have ninja-like characteristics or someone who is just okay. I want you to be more than just okay. I want you to be more than just mediocre. I want you to be striving for excellence. And this is one of the things. If you set your benchmark up here, you're going to be achieving this. But if you set your benchmark up higher, you're going to achieve even higher. So always set your benchmark high, reach for that, reaching up and stretching yourself in multiple ways, which means maybe acquiring a new skill, maybe surrounding yourself with mentors in areas that you don't have strength in. That means that you're stretching yourself and you're reaching. And as you start to reach, you're going to find yourself growing so exponentially. And before you realize it, you're going to be bigger than what you even thought you could do in the first place. That's how you become ninja. That's how you become confident to be able to carry on. And so controlling your emotion is very important. Start your conversations with a smile. Even if you're not on a video call, if you start a conversation with a smile on your face, I'm telling you, the other person will hear and see and smell that smile. Why is that important? If you start with a happy sound in your voice, whatever it is that you're going to be saying to them, they're going to be more inclined to listen to you. And really, when you're having a conversation with someone else, it's a matter of a balance, a seesaw, right? You say something, the other person says something. You say something, the other person. You know what happens is when the conversation doesn't happen well and it gets kicked out of the park because someone said something and the other person didn't receive it, right? And so that seesaw atmosphere about having a conversation is about listening to the content of the conversation, but also listening to the tone of voice and the balance of emotions. What happens when you're in a conversation with someone and one of you is more emotional than the other person, whether it be anger or another emotion that you're not able to relate to? Well, sometimes it's very effective to just say, let's bank this for now and let's come back and have this conversation again. And when you take that time away to get balanced again and revisit a conversation, sometimes you'll find it more effective. Now, I have mentioned in my previous talk a type of communication skill that I have been able to acquire and use and apply in my life, and that was pillow talk. Now, pillow talk really is with regard to the fact that you're looking at conflict. It's a conflict resolution skill. And so you're looking at conflict from 4 different angles. And really the first angle of pillow talk is when you say in a conflict, you're right, you're wrong, and I'm right. And then you turn the pillow and you say, well, you're right and I'm wrong. And then you turn the pillow and you say, well, we're both right. And then you turn the pillow and you say, we're both wrong. Well, you look at it in the 4 sides, you're going to see that you look at any situation from all 4 corners and you'll start to look at that situation in a much different way. And really you start to have balance in your emotions because you're going to be able to see something from perhaps that other person's perspective. So putting yourself in someone else's shoe is one of the most important things in confidence and being able to understand and help and be perceptive to other people. This is one of my pieces. Yes, this is one of the pieces that I have drawn. This is called Emotion. And in this piece, and you can talk to me about it later, I'll be happy to share it. If you look at this watercolor very closely, there is a disgruntled old man in this picture. And I'm going to just take a look and see what the chat says. I've been not on it because I've wanted to just concentrate on this, but I'm going to actually, if you can just let me know, how many of you can actually see the disgruntled old man? Okay, now if you haven't been able to, we'll discuss it later, but there's actually a disgruntled old man that's looking at you straight on, and I'm going to show you how you can see him. There are there's his eyes, so there's his head, this is his forehead, here's his bulbous nose, and right here is his frowning mouth, and here's his chin. So if you're looking at him, this is his face, and he's looking at you. That same old man, you could say old woman, whatever, the same person is looking out to the other side. And if you look at it, here's his eye, here's his nose, and here is his mouth, and there's his chin. So now you're seeing the same man in two perspectives on this. And then why is it blue and pink? There's a lot more in-depth analysis of this painting, but I'm going to just give you an overriding sort of synopsis on this. So the fact that he's disgruntled in the calm side of emotion is because we have the emotion of anger, of feeling disgruntled, of insecurity, all of the negative things. We have that in us all the time. It's always there. Our choice is that we sometimes gravitate to the side where we get emotional, which is the red, and then we always gravitate back. But this solid flow between the two sides is where we find ourselves. And to be ninja means to really be calm even when the circumstances are difficult. When things don't go your way and when things happen in ways that you're not understanding, to be ninja means to find that balance even when there's turmoil around you. Being ninja and having control as a ninja means that you walk quietly. I say it that it's meditation in motion. What does walking quietly mean? Well, it's a bunch of things. It's not just the physical quiet about maybe when you're walking, you're jangling your keys, or maybe you're stomping along the floors, or maybe you're in the forest and because you aren't familiar with walking quietly, you've scared all of the birds that you were wanting to photograph, which was initially like me until I paid attention. And so walking quietly also means in a mental way. Walking quietly means to have peace of your mind and peace of mind through your thoughts. And so to be able to find your space in that quietness of mind is going to be very, very important, is to be able to clear your mind of the clutter. It's important that you get rid of what's not there. Often we find ourselves that when we're on social media that we have a lot of things that come at us. Sometimes you put something out there that people don't accept or don't like. Sometimes perhaps you find that you've posted something, or perhaps you've said something, or someone has said something and it's bothered you. And so how do you get rid of that? Well, I look at it this way. There's a book, and I'm not sure who's written it. It's about being a dump truck. Don't dump your garbage on my yard, right? Take your dump truck and take it somewhere else. Basically, the message is when people come to you with stuff that you don't need to deal with, it's your ability to be able to say, I'm not available for this right now. And you're being okay with that, to be able to say no and no thank you. When I invite someone onto my Facebook profile, it's like I'm giving you access to a glimpse in my home, because Facebook becomes a part of my life. And just like I have invited my friends to come and visit me at home, or you've invited me to come and visit you at home, Facebook is just a platform in which you're invited to come and see someone in the privacy of their home, you could say. If you land on someone's page and what they say doesn't resonate with you, if you land on someone's page and what they have to say isn't in alignment with you, it is absolutely okay to move on. And in fact, it's much better. If you're not growing someone and they're not growing you, You really don't need to be in each other's universe, and it's okay to be in control and be balanced to be able to say no. So walking quietly means that you put into your head only the things that are going to grow you as a person, and making sure you're filtering everything else out. And this leads me to this point, which is very important. This is another photograph that I have taken. And this was with regard to a walk that I took. I was on a photography walk. I was out in a beautiful section of our city here in Toronto, in Mississauga. And I started building the stone structure. And I want to ask you, which rock do you think is the most important in this structure to attain balance? Anyone? You can write it into the chat. Well, if you're looking at this structure right now, you'll see that every rock in here is very, very important to attain balance. If one rock in this was, it's called an inukshuk, and it's a welcome sign. And in this inukshuk, if you look at it, every rock is helping the other rock balance. This is why it's so important that when you're surrounding yourself with a solid team, and I am so blessed to have so many people on this call and on the Facebook Live and in my profile and in my life who are the rocks in my life that have balanced me. I would not be here today if I didn't have them. And each of them are individual. They have their own role in my life, but each of them play on each other, and in the whole they form the balance that I need as a person. So who are the rocks in your life? What rocks do you need really to balance your life? So be aware of the pitfalls around you. Look at the things that you're putting yourself around and immersing yourself with. Who are the people that are in your universe that you need to take a look at? And are they balancing you? Or are they the one that's off balance that's going to change and shift the entire structure of your welcoming heart and soul and change it to an imbalance? So it's very, very important. The other thing is, having balance also means that when you come across a situation in which the path has deviated, remember I've said, be your own roadmap, be your own guide to your own roadmap. Well, if you find yourself in a situation where you have to change the path that you're going on, being able to pivot, which is a action that you do in basketball, is being able, you have the ball and then you stop, you turn, and then you do an action. Well, that pivot motion is essential when you're being able to have control and balance. It means that you're able to take a difficult situation, assess it very quickly, and change so that you're still on that same going up trajectory, but you're not going to be derailed. Not becoming derailed is going to be essential to being able to control all of the aspects of control that I've spoken to about already. So your mind is a supercomputer. We have heard from so many folks on our calls on the Super Hour how important it is to give our minds some time to think. So if you've been on our business presentations, you'll see that we present the business and then we don't ask you for any questions there. That's because we realize that you need to have some time to think. As a teacher, I know this as well. I know that when I present something, I need to give you some time to process it. You need to give yourself that time, that leeway, that ability of being calm in spirit to be able to absorb, analyze it, and then apply it. And those are very, very crucial elements to being able to acquire knowledge. And as a constant student of knowledge, I constantly desire to learn something. I push myself every single day to learn something new, to learn from other people, and to learn about my environment and the things that are going to grow me as a person, whether it's my business, whether it's me emotionally, or whether it's something that I need to train someone else on. And so I am often on calls just listening. I'm often just responding to what people are saying after I've heard what's being said. And that's something that's very, very important. But if you know me as a person, and you know me one-on-one, you know I'm a chatterbox. And so this is something that I will say very honestly, it's not always something that I do. I'm a very um, um, friendly personality, I would say that. And I love one-on-one conversations. But in a group, you'll find that I'm very quiet. If we're sitting in a large group, I will be the one sitting and observing. And I'm paying attention to what people are saying and I'm storing it. And then I will analyze it. And that's the difference between me in a group situation and one-on-one. And so give yourself that time to process information. It's very important. Why is sitting up important? Take a deep breath in right now, all of you. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And in through your nose and out through your mouth. And as you do that, roll your shoulder back and you'll find yourself automatically sitting up. Even in this COVID-19 era, if you wake up in the morning and you get onto the calls without your face done or without your face washed, without brushing your teeth, without combing your hair, and if you're hairless, without just looking like you've not just rolled out of bed, but rather looking fresh. If you're sitting on a stool or on a sofa or at a desk and you're slouched, you're watching TV, you're slouched, you attend a meeting. If I started this presentation, I was slouched, you would have a different impression and a different attitude about how I would be presenting. And so making sure that your center of balance comes from your diaphragm, comes from your muscles in the stomach, and they are holding you up. And so you're always keeping that in alignment and that your spine is straight. And so that when you are actually doing whatever work it is, you're in control. So whether it is dynamic posture, meaning you're in action, and so whether you are walking, whether you are carrying yourself, you walk into a room, you're wearing heels, wherever it is, there is a graciousness. There is a way that you express yourself through your movement that shows that you are in control. And the other aspect is a static posture. That's when you are sitting, when you are in a prone position, when you are not active. And so even those moments, it's very important that you are always remembering where is your center of balance. And so when you balance yourself internally and you're able to sit up, you're able to make sure that your body structure is in perfect alignment, then you're going to be able to use good techniques like breathing that we're going to speak about. And so the art of meditation. This leads me right into why ninja control. And I'm cognizant of my time. So I want to stop a little bit earlier so that you can ask me any questions or we can speak about this. But the art of meditation, why is breathing so important? Get used to being able to take in that deep breath and feel it filling in your lungs. Feel it going in and being able to really appreciate the feeling of that breath going in and being able to control your stress through your breathing. Whether it means that you take just 5 minutes to do some breathing exercises, whether it means that you take some time during the course of the day, if you're really busy, give yourself, it takes 10 minutes or even 5 minutes. Download a meditation app onto your phone, which will allow you to meditate for that 5 minutes. It will really make a world of difference in helping you control. Paying attention to your breath. It seems so silly, but paying attention to your breath will help you find that control and that balance of emotion that you're going to need in order to be able to pivot and change and go on your trajectory. And this is a very, very important aspect of ninja control. And so it helps in order because it helps you with your mindfulness. And this is just a slide for you to think about the different things that meditation actually brings. All of these things have actually have been happening in my life for a long time now. I was able to heal myself without any requirement. So I shared part of my story. The other part of it, which you're going to see in my film at more length, is a part that when I decided to make a choice in my life and move on from a marriage, I was in a sense ostracized from my community for having made that decision. But it wasn't just my community. I had actually been ostracized and cast aside by people and friends and family that I had considered to be rocks in my life. And I realized that because those rocks were not balanced themselves, my entire rock Inukshuk structure of myself fell apart. and I left with situational PTSD. This isn't that long time. This isn't long ago. It's only been 3 years really that I've gone through this phase, really 4 years. And, but I had almost 3 decades of working on myself and self-development for a long time. If any of you who are listening were students of mine in India, I want to say thank you for listening, but also how you will vouch for the fact that I used to start my classes with a saying on the board. And even if you were in my grade 10 or grade 9 classes, you always wondered, why was Miss Koshy always putting something on the board, some motivational quote, something for us to think about? Well, it was this, because even then, at that point in India, I was always thinking about mindfulness, about growing myself and growing others around me, and being a person of service. So it was not just being an English teacher. It was not just being a teacher in one school. It was about being a good human and sharing human characteristics to others, right? About what it means to be a good human. And so it's starting with things like balance and healing and being able to listen to what they have to say and talking to them and coaching them. It was beyond being just a teacher for a subject. So in your lives, go beyond the parameters of what it is that you see your vision and help others, serve others. I'm telling you that by service, you're going to be so enriched in your own growth. And that's been the most important thing in my own growth is, why do I serve and help others? It's because by doing that, I have a selfish need. I have this desire to do that because I feel that by growing you, I'm growing myself. And so, of course, this is something that I think that all of you should look and think about. Why is getting up early equivalent and help correlate to success? Well, when it's part of discipline, and ninja discipline is about being able to apply the thought that every half hour of your day should be accountable. You should have a good idea of what you're doing in every half hour of the day. And there are there are many things that we've discussed already. You can listen to my very dear mentor, Dr. Obambo, and speak about quadrants. I believe Fasana Patel has also spoken about it, who has also done another power hour. Why is quadrants important? Why do you need to allocate times of your day to structure? And it doesn't mean that you have to be structured in it, that you are fixed and you're in a box sort of mentality. No, it means that there's accountability. Accountability is very important in order for you to be able to retain and achieve success. And so this is a first step. And so when you start your day early, there are certain positive effects of that. It's very quiet. The environment around you is quiet, but also your mind is quiet because it's just had sleep. You should be having about 8 hours of sleep if possible. And so when you wake up refreshed in the morning and your mind is at peace and you have spent a few minutes breathing and hearing your own breath and cognitively understanding where you want to go in life, then you're able to face the tasks of your day in a much more balanced way. And this is the best way really to start your day. And so as you do this regularly, you're going to find yourself seeing success. Well, I like this slide. It was colorful, and I'm a foodie. So if you know me well enough, you'll know that food is a very important part of my life. And yes, I think sweets are important too. And although I'm not a cupcake eater, I just like the cupcakes in this because it was so pretty when I made the slide. So a healthy body fuels a healthy mind. It's so important to feed your body with the right things that are going to be able to feed your mind. So whatever it is, whatever system you follow, whether you're vegan, whether you're vegetarian, whether you're omnivore, whether you are a pescatarian, or maybe you just eat air, whatever it is, you got to decide for yourself, but make it disciplined so that whatever you're feeding yourself is going to feed your mind. It means having a balanced intake of food and drinks, liquids that are going to replenish your soul, because you're hydrating your soul. And so when you're hydrating and feeding your soul, you're going to be able to feed your mind to it as well. So all of it, ninja discipline, is about mind, body, spirit, and soul. And as I've talked throughout these slides, you're seeing that it's a combination. And as you build your team, you need to build that team within you so that you're able to build a larger team. And so this is what ninja discipline is about. I want you to find the ninja in you. And I want you to be able to do that, because when you find that ninja in you, you're going to start working and honing those skills that make you a personality that other people are going to be able to see and be able to recognize and gravitate and want to be around. You're going to become that magnetic personality that people really, really want to have in their life. So this is a little bit about me. My book is How to Be Your Badass Self, a guide to using your inner energy for branding success. And I have just sent it off to the editors for them to lay it out in book format. So I am taking pre-orders if you're interested. You can find me on all of these social media things. If you haven't found me yet, find me, follow me, subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's lots of things that I do. I put out into my network, either for myself or different organizations that work with me or people. And I love my little character at the bottom. I hope you like it too, because that's me in a sense. I'm sitting on that stack of money because that's where I'm going. I'm already there. I'm sitting there and I'm doing my ninja work from my stack of money. And so if you want to know more, you can find me on my websites there, or you can reach out to me on Facebook or send me a message on one of the other things there. And so there you have it. I'm going to actually open it up right now to all of you and give you an opportunity. Fasana, I'm going to give it back to you. If you can ask.
Thank you. Absolutely. Annie, round of applause, my love. That was such an enlightening presentation. And once again, myself and everyone else within our Asira family, in the OB Mastermind family, we've had the opportunity of really seeing you operate at this experienced, wise, beautiful ninja that you are so eloquently and naturally. And you breaking down your philosophies, your methodologies within that presentation was such a treat to experience. Thank you so much for sharing. I actually worked a little ahead of time. I was behind the scenes ninja for you today. And I asked everyone that's live on this Zoom call, does anyone have any questions for Annie? And I'm going to just read you some of the comments that came in after that, because you've mind blown everyone. And I know that each and every one of you will have a question for Annie. So I encourage you, type it into the Facebook live stream so that she can answer them for you when they come up. But Annie, you've got comments from Stephanie saying, yes, amazing job, Annie. Ahmed is saying, what a powerful lady and presentation. Samira is saying, Annie, amazing, great for many human beings having gone through difficult situations. Alka is saying, wow, great presentation, truly great. And oh my goodness, Rosemary is saying, great presentation. Annie, you've just blown that out of the park. So thank you so much for, you're so beautiful inside and out. And we are so blessed to have you within our Asira family as our very own ninja. Ladies and gentlemen, what I will do is on Dr. Obam Bowen's Facebook page, and Annie has been tagged, I have been tagged. What I'll do is I will paste that screenshot of where you can find Annie personally, so that for those of you who are interested in reaching out to her, you can do so easily and effortlessly. Annie, once again, thank you so much for your time today. And that is going to conclude our Power Hour, ladies and gentlemen, for today. I hope that you had an amazing time. I know I did. I learned so much. I learned so much more about my dear friend, Annie. It was such a blessing to just share this space. Now for tomorrow, since we do want to be respectful of your time, we've got about 3 minutes left here. Tomorrow is going to be another incredible hour of a couple of leaders sharing our knowledge, our wisdom, our expertise with all of you from the heart, as always. Tomorrow, I have the honor and the blessing and privilege to share the stage, share the screen with none other than Mr. Swag himself. Mr. Vinnie Cochran and I will be speaking about leadership tomorrow on our Power Hour from 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Timing. Vinnie, should we give them a little sneak peek or a little bit of information to entice them to join us again tomorrow?
That's totally up to you, Fasana.
Vinnie and I absolutely love Vinnie and I absolutely love teaching about leadership, teaching about how we have overcome certain struggles and certain experiences in our own journeys and lives so that we can be an inspiration, but more importantly, continue to lead by example. So I'm going to brag about Benny Cochran for a second here, because any opportunity that I get to do so, I take, because this is a gentleman who actually inspired my mentor to strive for greatness and to live a better quality, to create a better quality life for himself. And had Vinny not been leading by example for decades now, then I would not have the opportunity to be in this position within our multiple businesses that I've been blessed with. So Vinny, I love you so much. On behalf of the entire family, we honor you. You are so incredible. You are so amazing. I'm so happy to see you just receiving all of the love that's being poured into you right now. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, because believe it or not, once you achieve a certain level of leadership, it doesn't end there. There's more growth. Then there's more growth. Then there's more growth. And we're never really done until we're dead. So let's avoid being done. Okay. Thumbs up for everyone who's in agreement with that. Awesome. Okay. So once again, thank you all so much from the bottom of our hearts for joining us today. Annie, Koshy, thank you again. Goddess, queen, warrior, ninja. There are so many names that we have for you, but we love to see you lead by example also. So we'll see you all tomorrow. Have an amazing Wednesday, and ciao for now.